I died on January 16, 2014. I was 91 years old. But before I go, I need you to understand something. I fought a war for 29 years that nobody else was fighting, and I have never decided whether that makes me a hero or a fool. December 1944. They called me into a briefing room on Lubang Island in the Philippines. My commanding officer, Major Taniguchi, stood in front of a map. His voice was steady. His eyes were certain. "You will go into the jungle," he said. "You will conduct guerrilla operations. You will wait for us to return. No matter what you hear, no matter what anyone tells you, you do not surrender. You do not give up your post. Not until you receive direct orders from a superior officer." I was 22 years old. I had been trained since childhood to believe that the Emperor's word was the word of God, that loyalty was not a choice. It was the only thing a man truly owned. I looked at that map. I looked at the jungle marked on it, and I said, "Yes, sir." That single word cost me the next 3 decades of my life. What I'm about to tell you, only a handful of men in the world have ever lived. I'm going to tell you what it feels like to fight alone for 29 years, for an empire that surrendered 9 months after I entered that jungle. What it costs a man to be perfectly loyal to something that no longer exists. And what happened to me the day I finally found out the truth. Standing in that clearing in 1974, holding a rifle that should have been laid down before I turned 23. But first, you need to understand what they made me believe. The jungle on Lubang Island is not like anything I can fully describe to someone who hasn't been inside it. It is alive in a way that cities are not alive. It breathes. It moves. It swallows things whole and doesn't give them back. The trees are so thick that even at noon you are walking in a kind of green shadow. The light broken into fragments above you. It rains without warning. The heat is not like summer heat. It is a wet, heavy, pressing thing that sits on your chest and shoulders and never leaves. I go in with 3 other soldiers, Corporal Shimada, Private Kozuka, Private Akatsu. We are a unit of 4. We have our rifles, our ammunition, our orders. We set up camp deep in the hills and we begin to watch, to wait, to move. We conduct small raids. We cut communication lines. We stay invisible. We do exactly what we were trained to do. The months pass. In August 1945, 9 months after I enter the jungle, I find a leaflet. It has been dropped from an airplane, fluttering down through the canopy like a strange paper bird. I pick it up. I read it. It says the war is over. Japan has surrendered. I read it twice. Then I fold it carefully and put it in my pocket. And I think, this is enemy propaganda. This is exactly what they warned us about. The Americans drop false leaflets. They try to trick soldiers into surrendering. My orders were clear. I will not surrender without direct orders from a superior officer. I put it out of my mind. I go back to my post. But what I didn't know, what I could not allow myself to know, was that the leaflets were telling the truth. More leaflets come. Newspapers, photographs, proclamations from Japanese officials asking holdout soldiers to surrender. I look at each one, and I reach the same conclusion every time. Forgery, enemy trickery. My training is too deep, my loyalty too absolute, for any piece of paper dropped from an airplane to undo it. My unit begins to fracture. In 1949, Private Akatsu slips away in the night. I wake to find him gone. I feel something I don't want to name. Something between betrayal and grief. I tell myself he was weak. I tell myself we are better without a man whose commitment was so fragile. I believed this for years before I admit to myself, only in the quiet of my own thoughts, that I envied him. In 1954, Corporal Shimada is killed in a firefight with Filipino villagers. I carry him. I bury him in the jungle floor with my own hands. I say the words over him that I remember from home. He is the first. He will not be the last. By this point, I have been in the jungle for nearly a decade. The Filipino people on the island know we are here. They report us to authorities. Search parties come, not to kill us, but to convince us the war is over and bring us home. I watch them from the trees. I see men in civilian clothes holding signs written in Japanese. I see familiar faces, relatives of soldiers brought to the island to call out to us. I hear my name called through the jungle. I stay still. I stay silent. I think, this is another trick. This is exactly what they warned me about. Kozuka and I continue. We steal food from farms when we have to. We clash with locals. We move constantly, never staying in one place long enough to be pinned down. We build shelters. We maintain our weapons. We mark the seasons by the rains. At some point in those years, I cannot name exactly when, the mission stops being about the war. The war is an abstraction now, something far away, remembered but not felt. What I'm fighting for, without being able to articulate it even to myself, is the idea that what I have already given cannot be for nothing. 30 years cannot be for nothing. The men who died beside me cannot have died for a lie. So I keep going. In 1972, Kozuka is shot and killed by Filipino police during a rice raid. I am alone now, completely, entirely alone. The jungle is still breathing around me. The rain still comes. The heat still presses down. I am the only one left, and I still believe I am right. In 1974, February, a young Japanese man appears in the jungle. Not a soldier, not an official, a student. His name is Norio Suzuki. He has come looking for me the way a person looks for a rare animal. Not with guns, not with authority, just with patience and a genuine desire to find what others couldn't. He calls out to me from a clearing. I watch him from the trees for a long time before I move. He is young. He is alone. He carries no weapon that I can see. He tells me his name. He tells me he's come from Japan just to find me. He wants to talk. I come out of the trees. We sit together. He tells me about Japan, about what it looks like now, about the country I left behind in 1944. He describes things I have no frame for. Skyscrapers, television, cars on highways that didn't exist when I left. It washes over me like listening to a description of a foreign country. He tells me the war ended in 1945. I look at him. He is 23 years old, the age I was when I went into this jungle. He has his whole life ahead of him, and he is sitting in the mud with a man who has spent all of his adult years fighting a war that ended before this boy was born. I tell him I cannot surrender without orders from a superior officer. He goes back to Japan. He finds Major Taniguchi, my commanding officer from 1944, the man who gave me my original orders. Major Taniguchi is retired now. He is an old man. He comes back to the Philippines, to the jungle, to me. We meet in a clearing on March 9, 1974. He is standing there in civilian clothes. I am standing in my uniform, the same uniform repaired and mended so many times over 30 years that it is more patched than original cloth. My rifle is clean. My boots are as polished as the jungle allows. I have maintained my post. I have followed my orders. I am ready to report. Major Taniguchi looks at me for a long moment. Then he reads from an official document. The order is simple. The war ended August 15, 1945. All combat operations are to cease immediately. I am relieved of my post. He stops reading. I stand there. I am 52 years old. I went into this jungle at 22. 30 years. 30 years of rain and heat and silence and hunger, and watching men die beside me and sleeping on the jungle floor, and believing, knowing that what I was doing was right and necessary and honorable. And in the time it takes a man to read a single page, all of it becomes something else. Not a mission, not a war. Something I don't have a clean word for. I lower my rifle for the first time in 30 years. My hands know the motion, but the rest of me doesn't know what comes next. I stand very still. The jungle breathes around me. Somewhere above the canopy, the sky is the same sky it always was. I don't cry. Japanese soldiers don't cry. That is what I was taught. I think about the 30 years. I think about Shimada and Kozuka. I think about the farms we raided and the people we frightened and the 30 years of a life I didn't live. And then I think about Major Taniguchi's orders from 1944, clear and absolute and given in good faith by a man who believed the war would be won. I follow them perfectly, every single day. I was a perfect soldier. They take me out of the jungle. I carry my rifle, my bayonet, my field gear. I am not prepared to give them up until formally ordered to do so, and no one asks me to yet. I walk out of those trees and into a world I do not recognize. The Philippines that I enter is nothing like the Philippines I arrived in 30 years ago. The roads are paved. The villages have electricity. Children are playing with things I cannot name. People take photographs of me with small cameras that seem to develop the image instantly. I look at my hands. The hands of a 52-year-old man. A farmer's hands now, rough and cracked from decades of jungle living. I remember my hands at 22, young and certain and ready. I fly back to Japan. I land at an airport that didn't exist when I left. I am driven through Tokyo in a car, watching the city through the window. I was told Japan was destroyed by the war, but it isn't destroyed. It has been rebuilt into something enormous and modern and completely unrecognizable to me. It has grown up while I was in the trees. My parents are dead. Many of the people I knew are gone. Japan has moved on. Not just moved on, but transformed itself entirely, reinvented, rebuilt from the ashes of the very empire I spent 30 years defending in a jungle that had long since stopped mattering. I receive a hero's welcome. Crowds, cameras, officials. They call me the last samurai. They call me a symbol of loyalty. I don't know what I am. I just know that I followed my orders, and that the orders were already obsolete before I spent my first night in those trees. People ask if I have regrets. They want a simple answer. They want me to say yes, I wasted my life, or no, I would do it all again, proudly. They want something clean. There is nothing clean about 30 years in a jungle. I followed my orders. That is the truth at the center of everything. I was trained to follow them absolutely, without question, without hesitation. And I did, perfectly. There is not a single day in those 30 years where I broke faith with what I was asked to do. Not one day, not one moment. I think about that sometimes, about what it means, about whether perfect loyalty to a cause that no longer exists is courage, or tragedy, or simply the only thing I knew how to be. I think about Shimada, about Kozuka, about the life I would have lived if that leaflet in 1945 had broken through the armor of my training. I think about Major Taniguchi's face in that clearing, the way he looked at me before he started reading, like a man about to deliver news he had been carrying for a very long time. I followed my orders. I did what I was told as well as I could. I still don't know if that was enough, or if it was everything, or if those two things are the same. Some questions you carry into the dark with you